Woodward, the problem with a vaccine is a vaccine will take 13 to 14 months once you have it because you have to test a vaccine. So do you want to clarify?
Well, what I was saying to him, no, that was a long time ago when I said that. We weren't set up at that time. Well, how many months ago? When was the statement made?
He doesn't say in the
You know,
book
his
when
book
it was
is sort of
made.
obsolete
But
because
he
the book
elected
comes out.
interviewing you in
By the way, I read the book last night very rapidly because it was very boring. I read it, and if you see what I said a lot of really good things. I mean, for the most part, people like to turn it around, but I said really good things in that book. And as an example, he doesn't cover, I told him what we're doing in the Middle East, and we're doing it in an entirely different way, and that's not covered in his book. The whole thing isn't covered in his book. And one thing I will say, and I respect the press for this one, which was interesting, almost universally we've been praised for the deal that we made yesterday with Israel and with, the two very important countries in the Middle East, and UAE in particular, where it's a very powerful group. It's a warrior country. It's led by a great warrior and a man who's highly respected. And if you take a look at that and Bahrain and Israel making a deal, and I will tell you, we have at least 4 or 5 others that want to come in. They would have come in yesterday. I talked to 2 of them yesterday, and they're ready to trot. And I think you're going to have a whole level of peace without blood all over the sand. Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. We killed hundreds of thousands of people in the Middle East. It's been. I always say it's the bloodiest sand anywhere in the world, and it didn't have to be that way. The single worst decision our country ever made was to go into the Middle East. Not only the millions of people killed, and I include people on both sides. Some people say, "Oh, you shouldn't say that." I said, "I'll say it," on both sides. Such a horrible thing was done. Such a horrible mistake was made. We're doing this a different way. So we have those 2 countries. We have at least 5 that we're negotiating with right now. And, you can only negotiate with so many. I think they're all going to come in. I think ultimately the Palestinians are going to come in. These are all the people that are funding them. I stopped funding the Palestinians fairly early on because they were saying bad things about our country. I said, what do you mean? We're giving them $750 million a year, and they're saying all bad things about our country. So I stopped funding them very early on. But they get funded by other very rich countries. To them, it's like a speck. It's nothing. But they get funded. But I think now that these countries, these very rich countries, are part of the deal, and you'll see over the next fairly short period of time, other countries will come in. I think Saudi Arabia ultimately will come in too. I think getting Saudi Arabia will be great, but I think Saudi Arabia, that's my feeling. It's not based on knowledge other than a couple of conversations I had with the king. But Saudi Arabia, I think, will be coming in too. And you'll end up with peace in the Middle East, and nobody thought it could be done, and nobody thought it could be done this way. I went to some very smart people. I went to some people in the Middle East, and they said, you'll never be able to do it. It's not possible to make peace. Well, now they're saying to me, nobody ever thought of doing this. They all thought you make the deal first with the Palestinians. It had to be that way. And I will say the resistance was some countries didn't want to do it unless the Palestinians were there first. That was just a psychological thing more than anything else, but they were wrong. The people, our great representatives that have been doing this for 35 years that were telling me how to do it, but they all failed. They were in Clinton's administration. They were in Bush. They were in Obama. All these great, brilliant people, they're all telling me how to do it, and I said they're wrong, and I guess I was right. And when you see, let's finish this. When you see the countries that will be coming, a very short period of time, not talking a long period of time, all of the countries that will be coming in, just like you saw Bahrain yesterday, and UAE, and I can think of, at least 5 that are going to be quick and easy. Others will be quick and easy also once the 5 come in. So you're going to have something, you're going to have peace in the Middle East. And we want to get out, our soldiers are largely coming home. I said the endless wars, the ridiculous endless wars. And I will say this, if I didn't withdraw our country from that horrible Iran nuclear deal, that horrible, stupid deal where President Obama paid $150 billion for nothing and gave $1.8 billion in cash. $1.8 billion. You know what that is? $1.8 billion in cash. That's more impressive than the $150 billion paid normally. but he gave all this money, all of these chips that we had. We had these chips, and he gave them all away, and we got nothing. And it was a short-term deal. It would be practically expiring now. It starts to expire actually right now, but it would practically be, and there is no way we will let Iran have a nuclear weapon. Just remember that. There's no way that's going to happen.
Are you reversing this statement? You never answered that statement. I'll just flag off this, but do you want to reverse what you told Woodward about the 13 to 14 month timeline for a vaccine?
Well, the vaccine at the time, I thought it might take that period of time, but we've stepped it up very substantially. And now, I'm just telling you, this is just what it is. We've been able to step it up very, very rapidly. I never thought we could have a vaccine as quickly as we did, but I freed it up. I freed up the FDA. Dr. Hahn's done a great job, and they're ready to approve something when they come in. The other thing that's happening that's very different is you look at a company like Pfizer, a great company, really one of the great companies of the world, Johnson & Johnson, they're all great companies. They're doing a lot of testing at a very rapid rate that nobody's ever seen anything like it. They're out in they're in the third level of trial, and I think that you're going to see things that are amazing. When I made statements like that, that's an old statement. When I made statements like that, I had no idea that we could produce as well as we're producing, but only because of what I've done with the FDA and other things can we come up with numbers like that. We're lucky that we don't have to, because that was considered fast. If this were an administration from the past, and I think I can say far beyond Obama, if it was other administrations also, you wouldn't have a vaccine for 2.5, 3 years. And we're going to have a vaccine within, at most, a couple of months. Okay?
Mr. President, if I could ask you about coronavirus relief, do you support the